This week on the Road Unfiltered Podcast, we have Rachel Deeb, a super talented photographer, videographer, director, creative, designer. She paints murals, she paints shoes, and is currently on the road with the Lumineers. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So first question, what's the K in RK Deeb?
Catherine.
Because it's so funny because everybody I talk to, they're like, oh, you got Rachel coming on? RK Deeb. Everybody's like, RK Deeb, RK Deeb. So
I know.
So it's K for Catherine.
It's K for Catherine.
Okay.
And some people are like, did you just write that in because it sounded good? I'm like, no, I did not try that hard.
Spoiled. It's out there now.
Yeah.
So, geez, how long have we known each other?
Honestly, I think it's been, like 8 years or seven, maybe?
2016?
Yeah, that's when I came to Nashville.
Yeah.
So I think it's been, like about 8 years.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah. Did you tell your mom you're coming on the show?
No, but when I do, I'll call her after. She's going to be like, oh my gosh.
Maybe we should
Jeff.
FaceTime her or something
Yeah,
in the middle of the show.
We should. She'll be so excited.
Right.
She loves you so much. I'm like, okay, Mom, calm down. She'll send me her stuff. I'm like, look what Jeff did. And I'm like,
Right.
I know. I follow him. I know he's doing that.
That's so funny.
She's cracking me
That
up
is
all the
funny.
time. Yeah.
So you're from California.
Yes.
We're both from California.
Yes.
And we both moved to Nashville. Where in California are you from?
Orange County.
Where about in Orange County?
Yorba Linda area.
Gotcha. So
Yeah.
born and raised.
Yeah.
California.
Yeah.
Native. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and somehow I made it out here.
I know. Same.
I know.
I've been here for 17 years now.
Dang.
It's crazy.
Where are you from in California again?
Woodland Hills.
Okay.
Well, I always say Woodland Hills because every time I say West Hills, nobody
Yeah.
knows West Hills, but it's like a little tiny bit north of Woodland Hills.
Okay.
But everybody knows Woodland Hills.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
always just say that.
I kind of do the same. I'm actually from Corona, California, but no one...
Yeah.
That's not a place I'm proud to be from. But like one exit over is Orange County. So.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about like you growing up and like getting all creative before you came to Nashville. Like what did you do in Cali?
In California, I didn't know that I could even draw. Like that was something I discovered in college. So I have a graphic design degree, and then in order to get that, we had to do an art minor. So with my art minor, I was forced to take like painting 101, drawing 101. And that's when I realized I'm like, oh, okay, I'm pretty good at this. And I drew a wolf because my last name means wolf in Arabic. And I drew this like wolf, and it was so cool. And then I put it on like t-shirts for my family for Christmas. And then all of a sudden I was like, I'm going to start a merch company. So that's kind of how it all rolled out with like the art side, was just like going through just like art 101 and painting 101 in college. Yeah.
So like prior to college though, when you were a kid, were you like artistic and everything?
No, like I don't think I was. I was a dancer for 15 years. So I was so focused on dance, but my brother used to draw cartoon characters all the time. And I remember being like, okay, if my brother can do that, I could probably do that. And I think I tried, but wasn't really good at it. So yeah, I never really did anything artsy outside of just dance. So when this all happened, my friends at home were like, since when were you like an artsy girl? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
It turned out, that's for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how it all, or like, I don't know how I didn't realize that back then. But yeah.
So you did a lot of that in college then, a lot of the art stuff.
Yeah.
And then like, where did the camera come into play with that?
Yeah. So I think I just had at the time like a really cool Instagram is what they in college. Cool Instagram is like extremely filtered photos, and everyone's like, whoa, how'd you edit that? And I'm like, iPhoto, I don't know, but like over contrast photos.
Right.
And this one girl one day asked me to take her grad photos, and I borrowed a camera from a friend. I shot this girl all day long. I charged her $50, shot her all day. I didn't know that like when you do that, you should pick selects and then edit from there. So I edited the whole thing, which was like 500 photos, all on iPhoto.
Right.
And so many people loved it. I don't know why. It was so basic. And so then people started hiring me to do their grad photos, to the point where I was going back to Alabama. I went to University of Alabama. I was going back to Alabama 3 years after I graduated to do grad photos. Like people would reach out to me. So that's like where the entrepreneurial like mindset came, because for the first time I was making money, $50 an hour, but I was like, I'm going to get enough to go to Europe and I don't have to ask my parents for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just like doing nonstop grad photos. And then my dad, who has been like a really amazing support in my life, he's always been like, okay, what do you like? And I'm going to like help support you. Like, you'll never fail. And so I remember telling him that I was enjoying doing photos for people. And I followed this blogger, and she had a Canon Rebel. And I didn't know anything about anything. I was like, oh, that girl takes cool photos and she's a blogger, so I want that camera.
Right.
So he bought me my first camera. And then when I came to Nashville, I got here and I had a job.
When was that? When you came to Nashville?
2016,
Gotcha.
when we met.
Yeah.
So I got here, and I started working for this graphic design company. It's my first job out of college. And I realized, like, wow, I really hate graphic design. But I can't tell my dad that because he just spent so much money on college. But I'm like, this sucks. Like, I don't. And so I ended up getting fired. And they literally were like, you don't belong here. Like, that was like the reason why they fired me. And
do you think the passion was just gone with that? Or
well, I think I just like, I was in a cubicle working with like all these older people.
Yeah.
And I was the youngest one there, and I mean, I didn't fit in, but like I tried, but I was just, the graphic design I was doing was literally like fundraiser pamphlets for like elementary schools, and I would literally just move the Wendy's logo over and like win Wendy's for your class. Like so dumb.
Creative.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, yeah, so creative. I'm like, okay. And they're like, yeah, you just don't belong here. And I'm like, honestly, you're right. So, but like the feeling of that feeling of failure was a feeling that I promised I would never let myself experience again.
That's amazing.
But in the meantime of that, like my dad at the time, well, so I had bought a car. I'm getting way off topic. You asked me one question. I'm like, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, so let me tell you.
Did you have a lot of coffee this morning?
Yeah, I did. I literally was struggling. I was like, I gotta chat today, so I gotta go.
You're totally fine. You're totally fine. Go back to when we'll rewind back and go to when you left California.
Okay.
To go to Alabama.
Yeah. So I knew that I wanted to.
And why Alabama?
Well, I knew I wanted to get out of like this Orange County superficial bubble.
Yeah.
To only then realize that the Alabama version of that is 10 times worse.
Right.
But I went to like a small Christian private school in Orange County, and all my friends were rich, like drive in, and it's like Audi Range Rover. Like they'd get a Range Rover for their 15th birthday so they could practice on it, like for their 16th. Wow. Yeah, it was stupid.
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to go out of state for school, but I wanted to go somewhere where I wouldn't get homesick. So I heard Alabama was like a big school spirit football thing. So I was like, okay, well maybe I won't feel like depressed or whatever. But I went there. I actually met a girl online in Nashville who was looking for a roommate, flew here for the first time. We drove to Alabama together to see the school, and the school is so beautiful.
Right.
So I knew that.
Where is that at?
Tuscaloosa. Yeah. And, but yeah, I just wanted to get out of my comfort zone and do something different. And my dad's from England, so when I told him that I wanted to go across the country to school, he was like, damn it, you take after me way too much, and I can't say no. Yeah. So I just took the leap.
You've been out of California now for how many years then?
I guess 11.
11 years?
12 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you miss it?
No.
You don't?
Do you miss it?
I miss the beach. I miss the weather.
Beach. Yeah.
And I miss my friends. But I don't miss anything else.
Yeah.
Like the traffic, the people, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like all my dear friends that I grew up with, are still there. They hate it. They hate California.
Yeah.
They want to get out.
Really?
They can't. They have kids.
Yeah.
And schooling and all that stuff. So,
right. Yeah, I do miss the beach. And like my ultimate dream job one day would be to be like the creative director of Vans. So, and that's in Costa Mesa. So,
well, hopefully maybe Vans will, like, somebody from there will see this and be like, yo.
By the way, I'd be really good at this job.
Right.
Hire me. Yeah.
So then you went from Cali to Alabama, and then tell me a little bit about the Alabama thing. I mean, before you got to Nashville. And you were there for how many years?
4 years.
4 years.
My parents couldn't afford me to be there longer.
Right.
There's like 6-year students. I'm like, I wish. So I went there for 4 years. I did graphic design, minor in art. My my degree's in advertising with a minor in graphic design. And yeah, I mean, I'm so unaware about football, but I know that we won 4 years, like the whole thing. And I was like, oh, what's everyone cheering about? We won for 4 years. Like, wow, I was there. So that's cool. But
that's funny that you say that, because I feel like growing up in California, in Southern California, I feel like there were so many pro sports that we kind of forgot about college football.
Yeah.
Like we
the
had
Angels.
the Dodgers, the Angels, the Kings, the, Lakers, the Clippers. There was so much, sports. It's like, oh, there's UCLA football and USC football. We're just kind of like, I was just kind of secondary. So it's funny because living here in Nashville and being in the South and on the East, I'm like, wow, college football is huge out here.
It's so, well, that's because it's like kind of all they have. Like, so like in Alabama, especially, there's no pro stuff out there. So it's like when the team has a game, it's like the whole state of Alabama is at the game. It's crazy. Yeah.
So
it's
just kind of jumping into a college town, football town like that is pretty wild.
Oh yeah. And like you're supposed to like wear dresses to the games. Like,
oh wow.
I'm like, what? You don't just like wear a jersey and Converse? And they're like, that's disrespectful in the South.
Wow.
So clearly I didn't fit in. Yeah. I was like, what? I have to wear a dress? This is so stupid. And like cowboy boots. I was like, Mom, I need cowboy boots right now. Hurry. Like send them to me. Yeah.
So when you were in Alabama and you were doing all this studying for all of this, did you get any work at all during that down there at all?
No. I was like really, really involved with all the clubs on campus. Mm-hmm. And because in my head, I'm like, I'm going to have the most badass resume when I graduate. So I was a part of like extracurricular, like everything advertising, like art direction. I was a part of like a German club. Literally, if you see my grad photos, I have like 20 tassels on it because I was just like, I'm good. And how many times have I used my resume? Maybe one time to get that shitty job that I got fired from. It's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just like, I didn't work at all. But then once I like got a taste of working, it was like nonstop doing photos. Like I'd do all my classes. I'd do 3 hours of taking photos. Then I'd edit, then go to my clubs, then go home and edit. I like my senior year, I didn't go to any parties. I was like obsessed with making money and working and just like kind of having a purpose. Yeah. And like labeling myself as a photographer was cool.
Yeah.
But while I was in college, I actually had an internship in Nashville for the Nashville Convention Visitors Corporation. So they put on like New Year's Eve downtown and 4th of July, like any event that goes in goes through Nashville goes through them. Right. And I worked for their art director, but I like emailed them, I think 10 times. They've never had an intern before. So I like created this position because I think I literally harassed. His name's Butch Spearden. He's awesome. He's the best boss. I was like, please, you have to. And I think he finally was like, Jesus Christ, like, okay, sure. And then they paid me though for it too. I was like, this is great.
It's funny because a couple other guests on the show have talked about like the having to reach out and like try to get somebody's attention to do something like that, to do like interning. And I feel like that's what a lot of these people that want to do, photography and videography and stuff like that and do art like what you do. It's like you have to be aggressive reaching out to these people, because what can they do? They could say no, but at least they read your email. Somebody had said that on the podcast and I thought that was brilliant. It's like, yeah, you got to reach out. You got to like kind of be aggressive about it. We
were like really taught in college to be creative and aggressive with all your approach. Like when I was in college, I went with my advertising club to Red Pepper Agency in Nashville, and I printed out these note cards that like had all my information and my photo on them, and I left them in the bathrooms.
Nice.
Like a psychopath. They didn't call me.
Whatever works, right?
Yeah, I was like, come on, someone. And then I get this like job, whatever. Yeah.
Right.
But working for Nashville Convention Visitors Corporation, like that was amazing. And I actually came back during my Christmas break and worked for them again here. And then that's when I just fell in love with Nashville.
Yeah.
And I was like, no matter what, I want to move here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you finished school and then moved to Nashville, right? So you graduated and all that, and then you were just like, I'm not going back to California.
Yeah, I was like, fuck that.
Yeah.
My dad's like, all right, we're ready. I'm like, nah, sorry.
So then you made the move to Nashville, 2016, you said.
Yeah.
And tell me about that. Like just picking up and being like, let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah. Well, immediately I thought, okay, I need to find a job because here my parents just supported me for 4 years. Like the last thing I want to do is continue to live off their money and their pay. So I think my first mistake maybe was just finding any job that I could get my hands on, and it was the job that I got fired from. And after I got fired, my dad said, like, okay, pause, don't say yes to a job that you know you're not going to enjoy.
Right.
Like, I'm right here, you're not going to fail. Again, he always told me that. And I like my ego and my pride. I was like, no, I'm going to work at a boxing gym because that's some money. And in the meantime, I'll get fit. And like my dad was like, okay, but what if you need to do an interview with someone and you have to work? And I'm like, no, it's fine. Like, I don't know. I just couldn't handle not having work. So that was probably the best decision I ever made in my whole life.
Yeah. I think I remember that. Was it Tidal?
Yeah, it was Tidal Boxing.
Yeah.
So I worked full time as their marketing coordinator and front desk, and I started running their social media, which is when I started to use my camera more and dabbled in video and.
And you still had the old Canon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
We're going to talk about gear at some point.
Oh, okay. And do you know who Cece Dawson is?
Yeah.
So she also worked at Tidal.
Gotcha.
So it was actually kind of funny because she was there before me, and she was so good at video. I remember being like, oh crap, like this girl's good. And it was almost like we would like kind of compete against each other. Like maybe it was like this woman energy, like
right.
She did a cool video and I'm like, oh, now I have to do a cool video. But honestly, that helped me so much kind of motivate me to learn video and learn these effects and all that stuff. So I really have her to thank for that because it really pushed me to learn everything. But
well, if you think it's like competitive, there is something inspiring in that too.
Because
it's like some people could look at that and go, damn, I want to do that, or I want to do that better. You know, and that'll drive you. But then there's some people that are like, oh, it's just too good. There's no way I could do that. Yeah. But you gotta do it.
You gotta do it.
Go on.
Well, so then the members at the gym would hire me outside of the gym because it's Nashville. Everyone needs content. Everyone's an artist. And so I was always getting hired outside the gym by members of the gym. And then that kind of turned into I would work at Tidal from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. so that I could do my freelance stuff outside of that. And the owner of Tidal was like, you need to quit. You're too good for this. You need to do your own thing. And I was so scared. And I was like, no, I'm like, what do you mean do my own thing? And my dad was always like, be your own boss, be your own boss. I'm right here to catch you. Just do it. And I told them both no, I can't. I'm not good enough. And there was one day where the assistant of the creative director at Warner. So it was her name's Lauren, and it was Shane's assistant.
Gotcha.
And she called me because I was just emailing everybody, being like, "Hi, my name's Rachel.
Yeah.
Here's my resume or my portfolio." She called me and said, "Can you be on set tomorrow morning for Morgan Evans? Can you do BTS?" And I was Googling what BTS meant. I was like, yeah, I can do it. And I'm like, right. What's BTS? Shoot. And Edgar. I called him because he also was someone that really, from the beginning, you and Evan were the two people that were so I called Evan. I'm like, what does BTS mean? What do I need? And he came over and he gave me a mic. He gave me all his batteries. He gave me a better camera and was like, whatever you do, don't not shoot. Shoot everything. Yeah. And I was like, okay. Yeah. So the whole time I went, and then I had to wake up at 4 a.m. for Tidal the next day, but the shoot, I think, ended at midnight. Okay. Evan came over. I probably shouldn't say this on air because it's so bad. Evan came over, and we edited, and by we, I mean Evan, edited this recap video for the shoot, and it was badass. I fell asleep halfway in the edit, and he finished it for me. And then we sent it off, and then Mike Dupree saw it a month later in the files and was like, "This is really good. Who's Rachel Deeb?" And then he called me for a lunch, and I was like, "Yeah, I edited that whole thing myself." Fake it till you make it. Right. I was like, "Yeah, that was all me."
But Edgar Evan, he's so great. He was. I remember him being very, very helpful with you.
So helpful.
And he's just such a sweetheart of a guy. He's so talented. And he's got such a creative vision too. He actually edited a music video for me recently.
Oh, really?
He edited the Megan Maroney "I'm Not Pretty" video.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I brought him on board for that, and he did, because we did a lot of green screen stuff on that, and
Okay.
like, he was like there, like marking points and like making sure, and I'm like, damn, man, I'm like, I miss working with you. Man.
Yeah, he's such a vibe.
He's the bomb.
But yeah, I feel like maybe not a lot of people like realize that like you specifically and Evan were like the two like main mentors in my life growing up in Nashville, like, and growing in this music industry. Like my first like music video was with you, with Stephanie Quayle.
Which one was that?
Winnebago.
Oh my God, that's funny. Daniel and I were talking about that.
Yeah, Daniel was there too.
Yeah, we had Daniel Vorlay on the podcast, or we do have Daniel Vorlay on the podcast. But we were talking about that yesterday, because his first video that we did together was Lucas Hogue and Stephanie Quayle, which that
barn.
shoot was back to back.
Yeah.
Like we did one day and then the next day.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of funny, because you were on that. And then Daniel
was Evan there too?
I think Evan was on it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So it's like we were like, and that was what, 7 years ago.
Yeah, maybe.
Wow.
Like that was when I met you. So like,
that's crazy.
Yeah. So like, it's funny because I feel like like when I first started out, it was like boys club, and I feel like I was like the only girl in all the, like, we used to have this group chat, and it was literally all the guys on that are going to be on this podcast, and then me, and I was like the little sister they'd all shit on, but then hire me. And I'm like, fuck you guys, but I'll be there.
Yeah, exactly. And the great thing is you've cut through all of that.
Yeah.
And that's inspiring.
Thanks. Well, I had to prove myself. Yeah. They're all like, literally, I was the only girl. And I'm like, screw you guys. Like, but Daniel, like, honestly, is the reason, which we could talk about later. Like, Daniel's the, like, reason why I got Maren Morris.
Gotcha.
And he probably doesn't even know this story. Right. So, with the falling of events that happened to get there. But we could talk about that. But yeah. But like, I always, I mean, it was so cool. Like that music video, just like watching you. I remember I asked you, I'm like, is it okay? Like, can I come on your music video and I'll do BTS now that I know what that is for free. And let me just like show you what I can do. And and that was like, and then a year later, like Stephanie hired me to shoot her single or whatever here at this studio.
That's funny.
Actually,
That's funny.
So that was cool.
It's amazing how it all ties together. There's so many little roads that happen. It's like you do behind the scenes on Stephanie on that, and then you're directing stuff with Stephanie.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many cool little outlets that how this world works. It's like the referrals are just like, you talking about Daniel getting you Maren Morris. It's
crazy.
Like, it's like, now how'd that come about?
Yeah.
Because that was your first tour, right? Or am I wrong?
First, maybe like legit. Well, so I used to work for Smack. I was like on retainer with Smack, and Smack had Walker Hayes. So Walker Hayes, I would say would be like my first like legit bus tour.
Gotcha.
But I was like on retainer with the company, so I'd go out every now and then, and then that translated to Carly, and then after Carly, I had Maren.
Gotcha.
But yeah, real quick, like when people ask me like, oh, how'd you get here, or how do I become a tour photographer, or XYZ, and I'm like, honestly, I think I personally felt like I met the right people at the right time who genuinely trusted me. And like, you have to be a genuine person in return.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like, if I wasn't, I'm not out here asking for favors or whatever. It's like, you genuinely trusted me to be on that set. Yeah. And then genuinely trusted me to hire me for other things moving forward. And like, I would not be here if it wasn't for you, Evan, Alex Ferrari, like all these people that literally catered this road for me and helped me. And now that's my goal now for other people, like mainly female. Like I feel like I've mentor a lot of like young females coming through.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome, because like having you, Alexa Campbell, and Katie Koss on this is just, it's so great to see that perspective of it too. Yeah. Because somebody like you've cut, like I said, you cut through all of us. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It was just like, I'm going to
shit.
do this. I want to be a badass. And you are a badass.
Thanks.
I mean, look at all the stuff you've done. You know,
Yeah.
it's crazy to think like, you know, in the last 7 years, I mean, look at the Instagram, look at the resume now. It's like, holy shit, there's so much stuff on there.
Did Daniel ever talk about like the Hustle and Flow group chat?
No.
Oh, I gotta see this, what you guys talked about. Never mind.
No, you got to tell me.
Well, we had this group chat on Instagram called Hustle and Flow, and it was literally Boys Club and me, because
Right.
it was like, he was with Dustin at the time, Dylan was with Cadillac 3, I was with Carly, Evan was with Brett Eldridge, and we had this guy Paul who was with Granger. He was, and Matt was with what's his name? Matt Pasker was with Jake Owen. Yeah. And it was all of these guys and then me. And it was just like, I'd say one thing, Daniel shut me down.
Right.
And it's like, oh, Tyler was on it too. And it was just like so much drama.
Do you feel like you were like the younger sister
Yes.
just getting shit on?
Yes, every time. And then they'd be like, okay, Deeb, what are you doing Thursday? We need you for this. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, you do. I'm sure you do. But I'll be there.
Right.
Yeah, but we like this group chat was like this iconic group chat at the
Right.
time. And I felt like also at that time, like there was no girls on tour. It was like
Yeah.
I was the only girl photographer in the country aspect of it.
Yeah.
And then slowly now I'm like, girls are taking over and it's awesome.
No, it's great. It's great. And
Yeah.
I feel like too, you know, I feel like with the female artists, it's good because it's almost like a sister or a best friend out there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's probably comfortable for them.
Right.
You know, but you know, I mean, so now let's go to like your very first tour.
Okay.
Well, let's see. We were at kind of like Stephanie Coyle's video, and then after that, then you started doing more stuff on your own. Tell me more about that.
So
Because you did like a lot of like mural stuff.
yeah, I
and,
was actually like Evan while I was working at Tidal. Evan and I were hanging out one day, and I was showing him that wolf that I drew in
Right.
college, and I was like, oh yeah, I put it on merch, and it was funny, and my whole family
I
has
still
it.
have that T-shirt, by the way.
You have one?
Yeah, you gave me one.
Oh,
Yeah, I should have
thanks.
worn it.
You should have. Yeah,
actually.
you should have been arcaded out
right,
today.
Exactly. You can't really see my shoes, but Rachel made shoes for me for my wedding back a couple years ago, and they're like got palm trees and they're yellow,
They're
and I'm actually
sick.
wearing them today. It's the first time I've ever worn them. So. But go on.
So Evan was like, you should do a mural of this wolf. And I remember saying like, you're insane. Like, I don't know how to do a mural. Like, what do you mean? And he's like, let's do it and I'll film you. And so we literally broke into this warehouse.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah. We were there for like 8 hours. Evan filmed the whole time. And it was, I'll never like forget this feeling of walking in there with like, you're insane. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll wing it and see what happens. And Evan filmed me like kind of stepping back and looking at it. And I'm so glad he filmed that because I remember that emotion and feeling I had, and you could see it on my face in the video of just like, oh shit, I am good and I can do this. Yeah. And I had like paint all over my hands, and I had to go to Tidal. I had to work a night shift at Tidal. And I walked in and I was like, I'm quitting. I'm good. I'm better than this.
Right.
No, but Evan made the video, and then I posted it, and the owner of Tidal was like, oh, I didn't know you can make murals. You want to do 2 here?
Oh my God.
And I was like, sure. And I got
amazing.
paid like well to do there's like boxing arms like this on the side of Tidal at Church Street, and then there's one on the inside, and from there, I've been like hired to do a bunch of them. Yeah, it's still there.
That's awesome. So do you ever just drive by and go, that's my history?
I go, yeah. Except now I don't know what paint I use. It's really faded. I'm like, take my name off that. It's like kind of shitty now, but whatever. It was like 6 years old. But yeah, and that also is like really telling that the owner of Tidal Boxing, Tyler, like to this day, like still like totally supports me.
Right.
When I told him I was afraid to go full-time freelance, he was like, well, what if I pay you $500 a month and you still come here and take photos for us and like have a free membership? And I was like, okay, thank you. Like just to have that pillow. Yeah. And I did that for 5 years with them. So again, like just being a genuine person, proving yourself to be kind and hardworking, like gets you people like you, like Tyler, like all these guys who have helped me kind of curate this career and like laid this path out. So I'm really thankful for him as well. Yeah.
I feel like a proud big brother.
You should be. I am your creation. You did that.
And how cool is that too, that you have, supportive parents.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, we always have conversations about, how rad your mom is and stuff like that. And just how supportive your dad is with all of this,
Yeah. I'm so thankful for that.
That's
my dad has always been like, be your own boss. You'll never fail. I'm right here to pick you up. But the minute I did go freelance, I've never had to ask my parents for money. To this day, never.
Amazing.
So I'm so glad.
A great feeling?
It's such a good feeling. Yeah. It's amazing. And, but I know that, if I ever did need them, like, again, they'll always be right there. So that's been extremely helpful. And I'm very grateful for that.
That's amazing. That is so cool. So let's jump into a little bit of like, the touring aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like your very first tour, what was it? Like the first time you were hired to do a road gig.
Okay. So actually,
because I think I remember you reaching out and going, holy shit, we're doing this.
The amount of times I've called you, like, what's per diem?
Right.
And what do I charge? And now people call me and I'm like, damn it, I have to answer and tell them because Jeff did this to me. But this is the whole Daniel story is, Daniel was doing a music video for Dustin Lynch one day. I remember being totally exhausted that day, and he asked me if I can come help him. And he's like, I can't pay you, but like, I'd love for you to be there and like kind of suss out and, help me direct or whatever.
Right.
So I remember, again, so tired. I didn't want to go, but I was like, I'll be a good friend and I'll go. And at the time I was like, say yes to everything. I used to have like a blog called Live Yes Blog. Yeah. Don't look it up. It's kind of embarrassing. But I was like, okay, yes, I'll go. So I went, and then after that, the music video, they were like, okay, we're going to go to Red Door now. And I'm like, fuck, like I don't even want to be here, but now to go get a beer.
Right.
Fine. So I went, and we're all sitting at the table, and Alex Ferrari walks in, and at the time he was full-time with Maren Morris, and he's chatting with us, and it was like me, Evan, Daniel sitting at a table. And I remember I was just like texting on my phone, like, oh, hey, I'm Rachel, texting, whatever. Alex leaves, and they're like, yeah, that's Maren's photographer. And I'm like, wow, what? Like, I was just texting on my phone the whole time. I thought this was like boys chat, and I was just kind of, but then Alex ended up following all of us on Instagram. Fast forward 6 months later, I flew to New York, and when I landed to New York, and that was just like a for fun trip, but I had all my camera gear with me. I opened my Instagram, and I got a DM from Alex saying, can I fly you to Michigan tomorrow to shoot, help me shoot Ryan Hurd's music video and Maren Morris's show. And I was like not big, but like, I loved Maren Morris and her music. And I've cried twice, maybe 3 times in my career of an accomplishment. That was the first time.
Right.
And I couldn't believe it. So I remember I got to New York for 24 hours and then left, went to Michigan. Alex picked me up, and and I was terrified. Like, Maren and I shared a bathroom, and I was like so scared to like go into the bathroom. I just kind of like sat in the corner, like, don't speak, don't breathe, don't blink, like don't talk to anybody. Everyone was so nice. And then after that, once Maren posted a photo with my tag on it, it was like, so what was game over.
Was it a concert that Maren
It was for
did?
her hero tour.
Gotcha.
It was a show in Michigan. Her hero. It was on her hero tour. So this was maybe 2017, maybe. And yeah, she posted, and my emails were flooding. Like, Amazing. It was crazy. And that's all because I said yes to Daniel. Yeah. And like, he probably doesn't know that. I'll never tell him. So maybe he won't watch my segment.
Right. Oh, he's gonna
Daniel,
watch.
I owe you nothing. Yeah. So I am like, always say yes to everything, because you never know.
You never know
what could happen. Yeah.
You never know.
Like, people, obviously our Instagrams are such like a highlight of our lives.
It
but
is.
Like,
and it's a great resume too.
Right. But I have like young photographers who will reach out and be like, okay, can I help you with this and whatever? And I'm like, tomorrow I'm shooting a storage company. So like, I'm not going to post that, but like, you have to realize like, everything I post on my Instagram isn't everything that I'm doing. Right. But like, because I'm saying yes to a storage company.
You're just posting the cool shit.
Yeah. I'm making you think I'm doing cool shit. Right. But like, you got to do, the things that you don't really want to do, but you never know what could come from that. Yeah, like, the person at the storage company might be best friends with this person who's a famous artist or whatever. Like, you have to say yes. You have to do the dirty work. So
there's something cool though about like, I mean, because we all do like other things outside of country music and the music world. Like Daniel and I will do like, you know, commercials and ads and stuff like that, and it's nowhere even close to country music. And you know, we don't post too much of that stuff, but there's such a difference between like how cool, there's something really cool just about shooting an artist and a concert, you know. There's a different kind of energy about it. It's fun, it's addicting, addicting. And you know, it's like, shit, I've been doing this for 20 years, I don't want to stop. Why would I want to stop?
Do you ever say like the I'm done touring thing and then you keep going like I do?
No, not really.
Okay.
Not really. I mean,
I'm always like, I'm sick of it, I'm retiring. Then I'm like, Jeff, I just got this tour.
I know, you won't. So then you did the Maren show.
So I did the Maren show.
Then what happened?
And then I got an email from Callie Cunningham. She was managing Bailey Bryan. So I started going on tour with Bailey. And that was like my first tour. And it wasn't like a bus tour. Like it was really fun. It was a van tour, but me, Bailey, and our tour manager, I remember, went to Europe together for C2C festival.
I remember seeing you there.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah, we were there.
Yeah, because I remember, I think I posted something. I said, I'm watching Rachel Deeb. It's the Rachel Deeb show.
It is.
Featuring Bailey Bryan.
Featuring. Always. But our tour manager, like, we rented a car. She drove the car through all of Europe on the opposite side of the road, just us three. And, like... Right. That was maybe like a trauma bond, but it was like, that was the best. And those like the smaller artist vibe where you are in the van and you're like just a run and gun thing.
So being in a van was your first technical like
tour? Yeah. Wow. As it should be though.
Yeah. I never did the van. I know.
What?
I know, that's what Daniel was saying too. He's like,
everyone's on the van.
Yeah, he didn't do the van. He went straight to a tour bus.
No.
Oh yeah.
Well, some of us aren't as good as you guys. Okay, I had to do the fucking van.
I think, in all honesty, I think being in a van though would have been fun.
It was fun.
I feel like the content could have been really cool.
Yeah.
You know.
It was fun. It was fun, and because you kind of just like all feel like, of course you have your boss, but it's also like we're all in this together, and there is something special of just like kind of feeling even with each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I loved it. I think back on it now and I'm like, what did we do? But I'm like, I loved it. It was so fun.
Right.
So yeah, I started with Bailey, and then my friend Marissa Turk, who's amazing and super well known for just being a badass woman in this industry. She works for SMAC. We went to school together, and she asked me if I wanted to be the creative, like on retainer with SMAC. And that was my first, I guess, like real job since I had gotten fired.
Right.
So I was really excited, and they had Walker Hayes, they had Kylie Morgan. And so yeah, that was like my first time just kind of having like a platter and a budget, and them being like, all right, if you want to do a music video with Walker, go for it. If you want to do this, go for it. And I think at the time I was probably a little bit too young to realize what to do with that or what that meant. So I just kind of like stayed in my lane. And I would probably do it differently now, like, okay, bet, let's go, let's do this. But now I think back then it was a really good learning.
In the years, you know, you learn more through the years. You know? And that's like one thing that like a lot of people, they're like, oh, I could just pick up a camera and do what everybody else does. You know, years of experience like leads you to that. It's proof right there, you saying that. Yeah,
but there's something that I loved about being involved with like a team. I feel like when you're a freelancer, you work for so many people, but like having like that team is a different type of feeling. Like holiday parties, you know, that's a stupid example, but like it gets a little lonely sometimes. Yeah. Like you meet and we know so many people, but there was something about working for SMAC, and all of them are just so incredible and so fun to work with that like I do miss that team aspect, or like having, you know, maybe like a little bit like you don't have to make all the shots, like someone's making it for you. It's kind of nice. But they were really trusting. They had a studio space, and they're like, whatever lighting you want, we'll buy it.
Amazing.
Like I think I panicked. I was like, what do you mean you'll buy it? Like I don't know. Like I wish I could have that job now so I can be like, all right, let's go. Maybe it's probably good I don't, because I'd be like, all right, we're doing this.
Right.
But that made me develop a relationship with Kylie Morgan. That was maybe 5 years ago, and I just shot her the other day for a brand shoot.
You're still doing stuff with her.
So that's like one of the best parts about our job is like the friendships that we make with the artists in a professional manner. But like Kylie and have developed this friendship and trust with each
the
other.
Trust.
That yeah,
the trust
it's
is
a trust
huge.
You've always told me that, like,
Yeah,
I remember we had a discussion one time about trust and the artist and like all that kind of stuff. And when you do have trust with an artist, it's such a game changer. And it's like for both of you, like you can relax because you're like, I know you got me, I got you.
Yeah. And I feel like you could be more creative too with the trust.
Yes.
You know, if it's like you could go in and be like, hey, I got this idea, or they could be like, hey, I got this idea, and you trust each other with it.
Yeah.
You know, and then you execute it, you know.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Well, so while I was on tour with Walker, we went to Stagecoach, and
so was Walker your first bus tour?
Walker was my first bus tour.
Okay, so you got
there was like children running around the bus.
You gotta tell me the first time you stepped on a bus.
Oh my God, it was the worst because I had the flu. Okay. But I didn't tell anybody because it was my first bus tour, and I'm like, I'm not gonna flake out now. So I had the flu, and I was panicking because I mean, bus etiquette, like there's not a manual for that. Like, I remember like, what do I pack? Like extra underwear, I guess. Like, where do I change? Like what? Like, am I allowed to shower? I don't know.
Right.
So I got on the bus and everyone has their bunks and I'm like, okay, let me, I think I like took a middle bunk, just not knowing. And I remember someone came in, they're like, that's the band's bunk. And I was like, grab my stuff. I'm like, okay. And they're like, top or bottom? I'm like, okay. So I put it on the top.
Right.
And climbing into a top bunk when you've never done it before, like, I was so embarrassed. I was like, how? Like, I climbed it like this, but you have to like Spider-Man it up and then jump. Like, obviously. But I was like, how does one get to this bunk?
Right.
And I remember I put like my suitcase, my backpack, and my shoes all in my bunk because I didn't know where to put them.
Right.
But I was too scared to like leave anything out. So like my whole, like I was like this, like crouched.
Right.
Because everything was in my bunk. And I remember the tour manager was like, hey, like, you know, there's drawers if you want to like put your shoes like not on your sheets. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. That's really good to know. But yeah, but I had the flu and I fell asleep while Walker was getting on the stage, and the tour manager like had to wake me up and was like, Walker's on the stage. And I was so sick, and I was like, oh my God, okay, I'm on it. And we've never talked about it ever again, but I definitely fell asleep.
Your first experience of being on a tour bus. Wow.
It was like, and there was like children.
Being sick on the road is the most brutal thing, because you can't just like call in sick. You're on the road.
But also no one wants to talk to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, I always feel like Dayquil is like
you have to fake it.
Relief.
Touring people that is like a different type of person.
It is.
Like,
it is.
I've learned that traveling last year. Like, there was a moment last year on tour where I was just like, the average human would not be able to figure this out, but you guys can because you're touring people.
Yeah, I know.
It's a different breed.
A different breed.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
But
so then you got out there and you shot the show.
Yeah, I shot the show. Yeah.
Do you still have that on your Instagram and all that? The photos?
Probably not.
Really? We gotta use them. Because we're gonna use a bunch of photos that are gonna flash through this. But it's like, so I gotta see that.
I have photos
just
of Walker.
That you probably have like 103 fever taking these photos.
Okay, I'll find it because I think it was a casino show, so I can find them. I'll send them to you.
So were you out like a full weekend with them?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and but it was great. I mean, I loved being on a bus. Obviously, it was so much better than a van. Mm-hmm. And I quickly learned bus etiquette and just stay out of the way, but like be a cool hang.
Yeah.
And
because I feel like a tour photographer and videographer, it's like we're one person out there. Yeah. It's like there's a crew. There's like an audio crew. There's a video crew. There's like the band, and then there's like production and production assistant, and it's like. Then there's tour videographer, photographer. It's like one person.
You know what I mean? You like have no one else in your category. I learned also that last year. I was like, I don't have like a friend.
Right. You're like the only one.
Yeah. Which is kind of cool because you kind of get to jump around all the groups and be friends with everybody. Yeah. But you don't have like your one set. But
so then after Walker, so how did that go after what happened after the Walker Hayes tour thing?
So while I was out with Walker, we were at Stagecoach, and Walker doesn't really like to take like a bunch of photos. Like, he's a guy. He's like, I'm doing my thing during the day. And,
right.
I noticed that Pearce was also at Stagecoach, and did you ever meet Colby Vetter?
No.
So he was Carly Pearce's booking agent's assistant.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I've met Colby. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So
and he's married to
Katie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I know Colby. Sorry, Colby. Yes, I do know you.
We'll cut that one too. So I texted Colby and I was like, "Hey, I'm bored right now. Like, would Carly want to take some photos backstage? Like, I have nothing to do." And he was like, "Yeah, she's down." So I went over there and took a bunch of photos of her, and she posted all of them. Like, it was so cool. And then I ended up DMing her, and this was like a week before CMA, and I said, "Hey, if you need anything for CMA, let me know. I'll do it for like a cheaper price so I can just show you what I can do and whatever." And she's like, "Absolutely, I have a show." Literally immediately was like, "I have a show at Marathon," and was like, "Do you want to shoot it?" And I said yes. So I got there and I met Carly again, and she said, "Okay, come with me in the bus." And I was like, "Okay," panicking, just like, be chill. And I got in her bus, and it was just her and I. And she starts gossiping about Michael Ray and how hot he is. And then she said to me, "What's your goal?" And I said, "My goal is to work with a female artist on tour." And she said, "What are you doing next weekend?" And literally was out with her for 3 years. Wow. Like, that was just like, immediately she's like, "Oh, that's what you want to do? All right, let's go." Yeah. And I feel like that's so special. And
that's crazy cool that came straight from the artist.
Yeah.
You usually get that from like management or like a friend, but like for her to come to you and say that and like offer you that like right on the spot like that is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like, she was just immediately was like, "Well, what are you doing next weekend?" "I'm going on tour. Let's go." And I was like, "Okay."
So do you think at that point you're like, I got to be doing something right now, right?
Yeah. I was like, I cannot believe this is happening. Like, this is crazy. And so, yeah, I went like full time out with her. And I'd kind of split my time between her and Walker. And then eventually I got off of the retainer with Smack, and I was really full time with Carly. And I feel like that just developed me as a tour photographer was with Carly, because her content before that, like, I feel like you didn't really get her personality. So I remember that was the goal of like, she's so awesome and her personality is so great, so how can I showcase that? And working together with Carly was amazing. And she was like, "I want you to shoot my next single cover." And I remember thinking, like, that's insane. Like, that was my first like legit shoot. I hired lighting. But he actually didn't really know what he was doing. It was just like a friend that I was like, "You've worked with lighting, right?" And he was on tour with Dan and Shay. It was Robbie Norris. I could tell him. Me and him together were like, what do you do? And I'm like, "I don't know." So me and Carly were on tour with Dan and Shay at the time. I hired Robbie to help me and do lighting and stuff. And it was so scary. It was actually like the worst day of my life. There was like 20 people from label and management there. Yeah. And they're all, watching what you're doing. I didn't know what tethering meant, so I didn't have like a tether.
Right.
And a friend of a friend knew this abandoned house that we shot at. And it was just like, it was such a learning experience that it was like going from 0 to 100. And she's like, "I trust you. You're going to crush it." But that's like so telling that Carly was always just like, she's such a girl's girl and is always, helping other women. And then once she has her person, like she caters them, and it's really nice. So yeah, she really put me in the trenches on that one. And I remember actually during that day, I'm feeling so much pressure from all these people around. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what lighting. I don't even know what lighting we use. Like, Carly was like, about the photos. I was literally panicking. And then while everyone was eating, I was like, "Carly, you want to go outside real quick? Just my Canon, just a flash on my Canon. We go outside, take a photo on the brick wall," and that's the photo that she used.
Wow.
And no one was around us. It was just me and her.
There's times like that. I mean, obviously, label and management and all that, they want to be there because they kind of want to like oversee a lot of stuff. And, that's fine. I get it. But there's something about like an organic photo like that. I mean, to think like you shot all that stuff with everybody around you, and then you're just like, "Let's just go outside," and then that's it. Yeah. Like, what a story.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And like literally it was just us and my external flash. And I definitely am like, now I'm like, okay, no more than 7 people on the set. Like, I don't care. Just don't come. The social media girl does not need to come.
Right.
Like, what do you do? Get out of here. Like, we don't need everybody here.
Rachel making the rules now.
Now
She's
I'm making the rules.
She's like, artist and 1 guest only.
Artist plus 1, and the rest of you fuck off.
Exactly.
Sorry. It's so stressful. I'm like,
Right.
oh. So while I was with Carly, do you want me to keep going of like
totally.
the steps? Okay.
No, I love this.
So Carly was the last person I toured with right before COVID. And I remember getting to New York, and this is probably a funny story. I was flying to New York to meet Carly and the band on tour. I get there, I walk into the bus, and there's porn blasting on the TVs. There's like no one in there, and there's just porn, and I'm like, what? And it's like volume 100, and I'm like, what is going on? Tour pranks are great. Right. And then everyone's like hiding in the thing, filming me. Like the slide moves out, and they're like, we got you, whatever. And it was really funny. And then tour manager comes in and goes, okay, you guys, actually show's canceled. And then we didn't tour for a year, and like that was insane. And I mean, I'm sure you can relate, and everyone on the podcast that you're having, like, we didn't realize what was happening, you know. It was like
nobody knew. I mean, it could have been. I mean, it was a serious thing, obviously, but like we didn't know what the scope of it was right when it hit. We're like, oh, it's just we're gonna be down for 2 weeks. We'll be back out again. And then there goes a year.
Right.
You know, we're just like, holy shit.
It's insane.
But the crazy thing is, and I've talked to this about this with other guests, is that, you know, I feel like we got busier when 2020 hit, because we were kind of the only like content people that could, like, you know, be that like bridge between the artist and a fan, doing live stream stuff, photo stuff, or whatever. You know, it's like, even, you know, a couple of them said, we were way busier during COVID.
I feel like in the beginning I wasn't really busy, but there was a lot of live stream stuff, which actually brought me to shoot a live stream for Michelle Branch. Do you know who that is?
Oh yeah.
I'm obsessed with her, and that was like,
I used to love, so it's really funny, Michelle Branch. I was a big fan, like, back in the day, just like of, you know, who she was.
The song Everywhere. Ooh,
yeah, but when I was out on tour with Keith Urban, she was in the Wreckers.
Oh.
And she was the duo.
Okay.
So she was out on the road with us. And
That's
Michelle was
so cool.
Awesome.
Oh,
she's so great.
Cool.
She's she's
cool.
so rad, so sweet, you know.
Well, so during COVID, so we got off tour, and, you know, I have this whole schedule of tour the whole summer, and it's like one after another, show canceled. And one of the band guys was like, he called me and goes, you need to start building your resume now. And I thought, like, you're crazy. Like, what? I'm not going to resume. Like, what do you mean? And he's like, this is serious. Like, we're never going to tour again. And I was like, oh my God, okay. And so I started tie-dyeing hoodies. The thing is, like, I have no hobbies. Every time I create a hobby, I sell it, or like it becomes work. My dad's like, what do you do for fun? I'm like, I don't know, actually. So my mom sent me like a tie-dye kit to like just pass time. Right. And then I sold my like hoodie that I tie-dyed on Instagram. And then I was like, oh, this is really cool, because country music fans are so awesome. Like, they just want to support. Like, they are like a different type of fan. Like,
yes, they are.
Every like country music fan was like, oh, we love Carly Pearce, and we love Maren Morris and Walker Hayes, and you're out of a job, we'll buy a hoodie. So I sold hoodies. I sold the same amount of hoodies that I paid for 2 months of my rent, just based off tie-dyeing random hoodies. And then I like sold zucchini muffins, which I'm not the most proud about.
Zucchini muffins?
Yeah. So I'm like, what work were you doing during 2020? I was selling zucchini muffins over here.
Who are you selling zucchini muffins
Don't
to?
ask too many questions. Don't ask what was in them either.
Oh my God.
I had to make my rent.
Right.
I was like, that's it. I'm a baker. Just like that.
From touring to tie-dye to baking.
To baking. Yeah, it was a rough time out there. But no, after COVID,
I thought when COVID hit, I was like, damn, we're not going to be touring for like 3 or 4 years. I'm like, this is going to shut us down for a while.
Did you find that like after COVID, like getting on a bus was a little like traumatic?
Yeah, it was wild. You know, it's like everybody was so nervous. You know, it's like a lot of people were like, just stay away. You know, you got to wear a mask.
Oh, the mask thing was the worst.
God, it was the worst.
And like getting a COVID test before you get on the bus, after you get off the bus. Like,
it was like we had to be tested for everything. I was like, geez, I had like 20 COVID tests in like 2 months or something. You
it's
know,
the worst.
It's just, But it was like, I remember when they were trying to test it going back into concert stuff. And I had mentioned this on another podcast, but it's like we did this show with Chris Young, Cassidy Pope down in somewhere in Atlanta or something at a baseball stadium, like a minor league stadium. And they had like squared out spaces, so all these 6 people could stand in these spaces.
That is so dramatic. Like, you're already here.
I've got this drone overhead shot of before people came in, and I was just like, people are just going to stand in these things.
Yeah.
And then there were like fights breaking out during the show
because you're like crossing line.
Yeah, because people were like, "You're in my square." It's like, come on, like,
damn.
Let's get over this.
Yeah, that's too much. That is too much.
Yeah. But when it came back, came back
strong. And it's funny because I feel like people that were touring before didn't want to tour anymore.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's like, I'm over it.
Yeah.
And
there was a lot of crew people, and there was a lot of creative people that just bailed out.
Yeah. I was close because, so when after COVID, I went straight on full time with Maren Morris. Mm-hmm. And we did a whole year of touring, and I feel like my mental health during that time was not good. Like, I told Maren, I said I need 1 weekend off a month, and she was like, okay, no problem. Yeah. And they gave me that. But I started having night terrors on the bus.
Oh, wow.
And I fell out of my top floor bunk 3 times.
No way.
Yeah. Like, have you ever fallen out? Like,
I've never fallen out.
Because you're not a child and I'm not either. Why would I be falling out? I was like, and every time, thank God, I'd wake up while I'm already on the floor. But like three floor bunk is like, that's high.
You're a good probably 6 feet up there.
Yeah.
Because I remember, I know when you're looking at the top bunk, like it's kind of where my eye level is.
Yeah.
And I'm 6'2", so.
Yeah. So that kept happening.
So
and
the night terrors.
Yeah.
Like, do you like scream in the middle of the night?
Yeah. It got like, do you just like scream and fall?
Scream and fall?
No, it got like where I would literally see my bunk closing in. Like, ooh. I'd visually see it. So I'd like sideswipe like out the bunk and then land on the floor and wake up.
Oh my
God. Then I moved to the bottom bunk, and there was one night where I visually saw like that I was stuck in the trunk of a car. And I started banging like so hard in the middle of the night on the bunk above me. And I was screaming because in my dream, it was like the minute my friends turned on the car, I'd burn to death. So I was like screaming, and the whole, like all my bandmates came out, opened my bunk, like grabbed me out of the bunk.
No way.
And I was like panicking. And then it wasn't like, my tour manager was like grabbing my arm, and she's like, breathe, Rachel, like we're right here. Like the guys are like holding me. And then I woke up and I was like, this is so embarrassing. Like, I'm an adult and I'm having these insane night terrors where I just woke up the whole bus. Like, that's...
But it happens, though.
I know. I just was
I get 'em. I do it.
I was so scared. I was like, I'm going to get fired. I'm going to get fired because this is my 3rd time having a night terror. And, yeah. So, like, I think that COVID, just taking that year off and then coming back on the bus, it was just like... I don't know.
It was a different. I feel like I know what you mean. I feel like it was a little bit different of like a mentality. There was so many like kind of aspects that we had gotten, like, you had to stay away from people. You had to like keep your distance. You couldn't do this. The capacities were different. It's like I feel like that kind of. I don't know if it like really messed with people, but I think it changed things.
It definitely changed things. Yeah. So. After the Maren tour, I really did. I decided I wasn't going to tour anymore. Like, mm-hmm. I was like, you know what, my brain, like my body, like I just can't do it anymore. And that sucks. But like, I don't want to have night terrors and like embarrass myself like that anymore. Yeah. So I was like done. I mean, this was beginning of last year. I was done. I had gotten offered tours and I said no. And then the Lumineers called me.
And then you called me.
And then I called you. And I was like, shit, I keep saying I'm done touring.
But the funny thing is, it's like, I remember when I first met you and you're like, my dream is to be on tour.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be on tour. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget you telling me that. And then you started touring. And then like the Lumineers thing came about. Mm-hmm. And I remember you reaching out to me and being like, okay, what do I do? Do I do this? And you were nervous.
I was so nervous.
And the reason why you were nervous is because you felt like and correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember you telling me that you didn't want to get out too much of the country community, right?
Yeah, I was afraid of that.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like my reputation in Nashville is like, oh, Rachel shoots female country artists.
Right.
And that's like my thing. So, I was nervous about like, okay, well, if I step out and I come back to Nashville, am I going to have work here still?
Of course.
How's that going to...
I told you that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you could step away, but the thing is you've proven yourself here, you know, and taking that opportunity to do something else was so massive for you.
That it really was, yeah.
And I'm so glad that you took that, because you got to go see a completely different side of what the music business is. You got to step out of country music and go and do something like that, and go to different places where country music artists don't perform at, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I'll never forget when you agreed to that and you told me that you're going to Europe, and, you know, and I remember I reached out to you and I'm like, are you having fun?
And I said, no.
You said, no, I miss home. I don't want to be here. I'm not having a good time because I don't know anybody. And because I remember you telling me before you went on tour, you're like, I don't know anybody.
I mean, when you go into a new tour, like I haven't been on a new tour in 6 years. Like I've been with Maren the whole time, or Carly, like, and then you step in a new tour. It's like, I forget. Like it's kind of like middle school where everyone kind of looks at you, judgy you, and then all of a sudden you do something cool and they're like, okay, and then all of a sudden you do another something and then they're like, okay, and then eventually, like I forget it takes time. Yeah. Now I know, but
in that moment, I feel like too, when you had gotten offered the Lumineers, it's like, Jesus, you did something right to get that offer. You know, obviously somebody had seen the work or knew the work and like offered it to you.
Yeah. Well, what
That's
happened?
Huge.
I know it's funny because, I was, you know how sometimes I do like random headshot days.
Yeah.
So, I was doing like a random headshot thing. This girl from Instagram who just DM'd me came through. In my head, I'm like, I should probably stop like giving my address out to like random people online, whatever. So she came. I probably again had coffee because I was like da-da-da-da-da-da to her. I was in such a good mood. Right. I was chatting with her, and she goes, "What's your favorite music?" And I said, "Oh, my favorite band's the Lumineers." And she goes, "That's funny because I manage them."
No way.
And I thought, oh my God, it's so embarrassing that I said they were good. I was like, oh yeah, they're okay. Like they're fine. Just like folk music. Right. I was like, oh, that's like not cool to like be like, yeah, I love them. And so a year went by and she actually called me 2 years ago to shoot for them. And I had already committed to Maren, but I was like, damn, like, could you imagine the Lumineers? Like, I can't even believe I got asked. And then I thought I kind of just shot myself in the foot because I was like, oh, I'm already committed to Maren. Right. And then another year goes by and then they called again. And I feel like that's kind of rare, you know, to get asked twice.
Yeah.
But then I did a lot of research. Like I talked to 4 people on their team, and I was the one being like, where would I sleep? How many girls are on tour? Like I was drilling them. Right. And I told the tour manager, I was like, I don't know if I actually really want to go, and I'm going to think about it. And she makes fun of me all the time now. She's like, remember when you weren't going to come? And I was like, yeah, I fucked up. But they were like, okay, we have this 7-week tour in Europe. And then we have a month in the US. And then after that, we have a month in South America. And I was like, I'm going to do Europe, and that's all I want to do. Like, I'm not doing anything.
Though. That's the dream tour.
I know. It was the dream tour. Yeah. And I was like, I'm just doing Europe. I don't really want to tour this year, but I'll commit to 7 weeks, and then that's it. And they're like, okay, can you do some festivals before Europe? And I said, nope, I'm only going to Europe, and I'm done for the rest of my life. And I like told them that. I was like, don't call me after Europe, because I don't want to be in a position where I might say yes.
Right.
She's like, okay, sure. So yeah, I got to Europe and I cried on my first day.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know, country music I feel like is more relaxed. Yeah. I wore black Vans, but I didn't have black soled shoes.
Yeah.
Do you wear that?
Black soled shoes?
Yeah.
No.
See, I've never
on a concert?
Yeah.
No.
I
always
wear
black clothes.
shoes. Yeah, I wear black clothes, but like I wear like black Vans, whatever. And we had a uniform, which I didn't know about. And we had like, it was very strict on the black soled shoes. You have to have a collared shirt.
Yeah.
Things I'm not used to. Like, Country World, it's like, just wear your blacks, whatever.
Yeah.
So I like had a whole new wardrobe. I was in Germany and I was like going shopping for black soled shoes, like panicking that I already like fucked up on my first day. Right. Got yelled at already. I wrote the tour manager an email on my third day telling them why I couldn't be on the tour anymore. And I was like gonna fly home. Like, I'm not,
my God.
She knows this already, and she's already made fun of me. So I can say it. But I wrote this draft, I wrote this whole email because I was like, fuck this tour. Like, I'm done. Like, I don't think I fit in. I don't have any friends. I'm already getting in trouble for what I'm wearing. And that first day, and let it be this lesson, is that when I got yelled at the first day, I remember being so, like, not mad or sad. I went home, cried, and then I thought, I'm going to make a badass video and I'm going to show them who I am and what I do. And that's like such a good mentality.
Yep.
And then I'm going to send the email. But before I do that, I'm going to make a badass video. Right. And I made this video and I made all the edits and I sent it in and I was like, okay. And then I wrote the email and I was like, I'm going to sleep on it. And the next day I got to the next show and the main singer of Lumineers came up to me and they posted the video and everything. And he was like, was that you who made that video? And I was like, yeah. Oh my God. I'm like, yes, why? And he's like, that was sick. Like, he's like, we're so happy that you're here. Like, that was a great video. Like, I'm so excited to work with you and like see what we can do together and whatever. And I was like, fine, shit. I'll stay. Damn it. Go back to my email. I'm like, delete. So I'm so glad I stuck it out because, I mean, 7 weeks is a long time.
Yeah, because it was funny because I was seeing some of your stuff from out there and I'm like, shit, this is so dope. It's so good.
Thanks.
And then I was like, and then I reached out to you and I'm like, are you having fun? You're like, no.
I was like, I hate my life. But then at the end you reached out. I was like, I just committed to South America tour.
And then I like start seeing photos of you like with all the girls on tour and stuff. I'm like, okay, she's good now.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like I did really have to prove myself to them, but like, I also feel like it made me work really hard. Yeah. Like, I think I was really comfortable with Maren and on that tour. So this tour, like, it really did shake me up. I was out of my comfort zone. Yeah. And I feel like because of that, it made me work harder. It made me become a better photographer and videographer. And, I feel like it really pushed me while traveling to, I think it was like 23, 24 countries total last year.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was insane.
I mean, would 2015 Rachel go like, what would she think?
I like can't believe I went on tour with the Lumineers. Like, what?
And
that's
it's all
crazy.
Because you've worked your ass off since you got here.
Thank you.
You've been aggressive.
Thank you.
Know, that's the key.
Yeah.
You have to be.
Yeah.
You can't just you can't come into this world and go, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you've pushed through that. Mm-hmm. Now go back to the Lumineers tour, like when you were in Europe, because I've done a couple European tours, but not as extensive as what you got to do on the one Lumineers thing. But like, what was like some of your favorite spots that you were just like?
Norway was really cool.
Did you go to Bergen?
Bergen, yeah, and it never got dark.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because like the crew guys were all my age, and those crew guys are like work hard, play hard. Like they will be out and then wake up at 7 a.m. And I'm like, I don't know how you guys do it. But we were out till like we were out till like 5 a.m. one night because we didn't know it was 5 a.m. because it literally never got dark. It was awesome.
Because you were there in the summertime, so it's like
it was always bright. So Bergen, Norway was so cool. I really liked, where else did we go? I feel like we went to so many, like Spain, Italy. There was one day in I think it was Spain, Madrid. And we were playing 2 nights. And that was my worst day on tour because I was going through a breakup the day before I left for this tour. My ex and I like stopped talking.
Right.
And
what a great escape though then, right?
Right? It was really worked out for me.
Yeah.
But that day was like a really emotional day. I was just sad thinking about him, whatever. Then it started to rain. I was crying and then it started raining. And I was like, fuck this day. Like, how am I going to shoot in the rain?
Yeah.
And I feel like we're so lucky that we actually like our jobs because when you are going through stuff and emotionally, it's like you kind of take it out on your work.
Yeah.
And it's
a distraction too.
It's such a distraction.
Because it's like I've gone through it You know, early on, I went through it a couple times, and being out on the road, it's like you focus your energy toward, and your just everything mental into your work. You know? And the work becomes even better.
Right. Well, I was going to say, like, it was raining that day, and I'm like, how am I going to shoot? I'm upset. This whole day sucks. And then I took my favorite tour I've ever taken, my favorite photo I've ever taken in my whole life. So it pop up here is the photo. I'll send it to you. And it was the main guy, Wesley, in the rain. He's laying on the stage, and it's just pouring rain, and the lights. That photo. And awesome. I was like, I took that photo, and I was like, I am meant to be here right now. I'm so thankful to be here. I'm so thankful that everything in my life worked out this way, because I actually wasn't. My ex was another reason why I was like, I don't know. I don't know if being gone for 7 weeks is gonna be good for our relationship right now. Yeah. And so it was that moment where I was just like, it's almost like this was meant to be cleansing with the rain and the shot, and just like it all just kind of came together for you. It was and I have that photo printed in my house now. Amazing. And I remember being like, all right, let's do this. Yeah. And the whole rest of the tour was just amazing and iconic. And then we went to South America, and that was just... I have never been to South America. Oh, you would love it. South America. I know. I'm so jealous. I know. That's crazy, actually. You would love it. We did like Peru, Chile. We did Peru, Chile, Colombia. God, we did so many places. I can't even like remember now. But Argentina, Brazil. That was wild. And that was just even better, because like the 7 weeks in Europe was kind of getting to know each other, whatever. And then once that relationship was already made, South America was just 10 times better. Yeah, and the trust that they had with me, and because you guys all come back together again, and it's like it's the workflow and just the relationships and all that. And it's the groove. You get back into the groove. Exactly. Yeah. And it was so nice. And I mean, I would never. So like Lumineers and Zach Bryan have a song together, and they were playing that at Pilgrimage, and I couldn't shoot. Lumineers played the day before that Zach Bryan played, so that day I couldn't shoot. But the next day I was like, hey, like I'd love to just be there. If you guys go to Pilgrimage and have an extra pass, and they're like, of course, yeah, come with us. Which was one, like, that's really nice, like that they're welcoming me to just hang out, like. And I was like, I'll bring my camera. And they're like, don't even worry about it. Like, we'd love for you to just hang out. And that's when you know, like, okay, they actually like me. That's cool. Like, okay, that's really nice. But I brought my camera anyway. And then last minute, Zach Bryan invited Lumineers to sing the song that they had together. And I was like, and they were like, do you want to shoot it? And I said, yes. And I love that song, and I love Zach Bryan. And that was like one of those surreal moments where you're just sitting there, you're like, I don't even want to take the photo. Right. Do you ever have those moments where you're like, the moment is so good that I don't even want to take the photo of it? Yeah. I did. I feel like I miss all concerts because I've always got a camera in my hand. You know? It's like I don't get to really enjoy it. I get to enjoy the photo and the video afterwards, but you know. Yeah. I feel like those moments are rare where you kind of just like, I took the photo and I sat down. I'm like, this is insane that I'm watching this happen. This is their first time singing it together live. I love Zach Bryan. I love Lumineers. Like, this song's awesome, and that was really cool. So I bet they were pretty stoked that you brought your camera then. Oh yeah, I was like, thank God I brought my camera. Always bring your camera. Oh, rule number one: always bring the camera. Yeah, literally. And of course, like there was like a piece of trash on the floor, and I put my, you know how I do like the trash over my lens. Right. Yeah. That's like my thing. Yeah. I was like, put the trash, and everyone's like, what is that bitch doing with the plastic cup that I just drank beer out of? Right. I think I asked a fan. I was like, can I borrow your cup? They're like, okay. I'm like, thanks. The water droplets from the beer. I'm like, right. Perfect. Yeah, exactly. That's the cool thing about photography and being creative like that. You could just pull little elements and make it your own, you know? Because you talk about like filters and stuff like that. It's like, that's just a natural filter on the photo, you know? That's the cool shit. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah. Are you going to go back out on the road with them? They have already said, like, we'd love to have you out in 2025 if you're free. Of course. Yeah. I know. Oh, shoot, I'm going to end up like you. I know. Oh, no. Is that a bad thing? You figured it out. You're going to be like 20 years from now. You're going to be like, oh, my God, I'm still doing this. Yes, I know. It's so addicting. But they just like, I'm so spoiled with them now. Like they, you know, they just treated us so well on tour that if I go back on tour, I'm like, nah, like, yeah. Lumineers. That was just such a good experience.
Have, like, assistants, and you're gonna have rules. You're gonna have your own rider.
I'm gonna like rhinestone my uniform.
Right.
That's funny. No, but they're great. And
you're gonna remove the rule of the black soles.
Yeah. Literally, I'm like, come on, you guys. No one can see my shoes from the stage.
Well, so speaking of shoes.
Oh yeah.
Like all of your so besides like tour photography and video and all the traveling and stuff like that, you're super creative with like just creating cool shit.
Thanks.
And like when it was funny because you started like doing like wardrobe stuff and like shoes and Jordans and like painting them and rhinestoning them and I know you do a lot of work with Daniel Diamond, right?
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about your little shoe story because you are like
should I start with the jacket thing?
No, because we'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that goes my whole thing of like I have no hobbies because I like did one thing and then now I have like a shoe thing and whatever. So yeah, I think it was actually Tanner. Tanner reached out and said, I want to make Hardy a pair of shoes, but I don't know what to do. So Tanner came over.
And Tanner Gallagher is Hardy's photographer, videographer on the road. Just
yeah. Yeah.
And he's
make sure he tells how he got that gig.
And he's a guest on the podcast too.
He used to be my favorite bartender back in the day. But yeah, Tanner came over and we like messed around with Hardy's shoes and it was fun. And then Tanner's like, you should like do this. Like this is sick. And I was like, oh yeah, maybe I will. And then someone else like needed a help with something on his shoes. And then it just spiraled of like, hey, I saw you do those Nikes. Can I hire you to do mine? I'm like, sure, just give me $100 and I'll figure it out. Yeah. And but yeah, Tanner actually helped me with like, okay, these are the steps because Tanner went like all in, like researching it, and then was like, okay, well here is all the stuff you need, but I don't know how to do it. So yeah, it just kind of like spiraled from there, and now I like love doing Nikes. I wish we can like plop your shoe.
I know.
Here.
We'll have to show it because we'll do a photo shoot after this with the owner of Westlight.
Cool.
And so you'll have to
I'll point to your shoes. I should have worn a pair. But yeah, it's been really fun doing Nikes, and I did.
Do you feel like it's like kind of like therapeutic?
Yes.
When you do stuff like that?
It is nice because it's like my brain is so ADD. Like I don't want to just do photo, and I don't want to just do video or directing or whatever. It's like nice to have this outlet. Yeah. And like playing music and just getting in my zone, painting. It's been really fun. Yeah. But like the Nike thing was again just for fun, and then it started, and then I did a pair for what's his name? Oh my gosh. Bailey Zimmerman.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then Bose headphones saw.
I saw that on your Instagram.
Yeah, yeah. Bose headphones saw the Nikes I painted for Bailey, and then hired me to paint him Bose headphones.
Amazing.
And then they sent me 4 pairs of headphones in case I messed up, and I was like, "You really think I'm gonna mess up?" So I was like, "Well, instead of selling these pairs, I was like, what if we did a collab and I can make it like RACHEL Deeb headphones?" And they're like, "Let's do it."
Wow. No way.
Yeah, so then I did a pair and we did like a giveaway, and it was really fun.
That's cool.
So like, yeah, like one thing spirals to another. How
like
it works. It's how it works. It's crazy. Yeah.
So then the shoe thing. So then obviously, then we move into the big jacket moment.
I'll literally like on the anniversary, anytime you post a photo, I'm like, yes, I get to repost the jacket.
So you got to tell the story now about how this all came about. Yeah. But it is it's Carrie Underwood, and she wears this jacket in her Las Vegas residency that was made by you.
So cool.
And she still wears it to this day in the Vegas residency.
I'm going to manifest it right now on this podcast that jacket will end up in the Hall of Fame. Like, how they do like the outfits?
That would be awesome.
Just going to manifest that one.
Yeah.
In like the Hall of Fame, or like the CMA, whatever. When they do the outfits in the glasses, in the glass, whatever.
That would be
cases.
cool if she did. And I'm sure it's probably something, I don't know if it's in the works or not, but I'm sure there would probably be something like, oh, here's what Carrie wore in the Las Vegas residencies.
We're going to manifest that one. Yeah. So that's all, that whole thing happened really crazy. And again, another manifest story because I was on a podcast on a radio station with Renee Blair. And after me was Daniel Diamond. And I had never met Daniel, and I was was telling, Renee was like, oh, all the jackets you've been painting, like you got to meet Daniel Diamond. You guys should collab. And I was like, oh, I've always wanted to work with him. That'd be so fun. So then a month later, she had us both on the podcast together. And I was like, okay, Daniel, we're going to manifest doing a jacket together. And at first I was like, it'll be Dolly Parton theme. It'll be so cute and we'll like sell it, whatever. And then, so we kept trying to make that happen. And both of us have just been really busy. So a year later, Carrie's stylist reached out to Daniel about this jacket. And then he reached out to me and was like, do you want to collaborate on a Carrie jacket? And I was like, yes. Like, and he told me, he's like, come over, let's go over everything. And he goes over and it was gonna be a lot of time. Like it was an intense jacket. And he goes, by the way, you have 3 days. And touring people are another breed. So I was like, okay, no problem. So I it's funny because I have the photo of the jacket on just like a plastic table in my basement. And basement's completely empty and I just put like a plant. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try to make it like somewhat pleasing or whatever while I'm down here till 3 a.m. And luckily my roommate at the time was an artist. Like she paints all the time. So I hired her on, and she works like a 9 to 5. So like during the day, I'm painting the jacket. She'd get home. She'd start painting the jacket while I go do my shoots. So we were just tag teaming it. And we did like a time lapse of it all. And it was just, I don't know how many hours were put into that jacket, but I didn't sleep, I don't think, for 3 days. And then Daniel rhinestoned it. And then they're lucky they got to go to the show and just seeing it on the stage.
Were they at the first show?
I think so.
I feel like they were.
I think they were on the first day. Well, they go to the show and they sent me all the videos of it. And it's one of those moments where you're like, okay.
Well, it's funny because I think I knew that you had made the jacket before the residency started, before opening night. And I remember, I think I saw it or something, and I'm like, oh my God, that's Rachel's jacket. That was, but the thing was that she wore it on opening night.
Oh yeah.
And that's where that photo came from, because there's a moment when she comes and she's wearing the jacket, she'll turn to the crowd to show the jacket off, because it says Vegas.
I wish I could see this in person.
So it's like I took that photo. I mean, I got it right at the moment of right when she turned, and that was one of the photos that she posted the next day.
Yeah.
And
it was cool because Daniel's like, we got to reach out to Carrie's photographer, and I was like, oh, I'll text him.
Yeah.
I was like, Jeff? Okay, I'll just text him. Yeah, that was, and like Carrie commented on, because I posted your photo, and then Carrie commented and was like, this was so great, thank you, and that, that meant a lot to me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Good, and it's a staple in the show. I mean, there's there's a lot of wardrobe changes in the show.
Yeah.
It's Carrie, and so there's some nights that she doesn't wear it, but when she does, it's every time I see it, I'm like, yep, that's Rachel.
Yeah. You're like, I mentored her. Yeah. I created her. That's actually my work. Yeah.
That's so funny.
It was really cool. That was a really cool moment to like see your art on stage is like another thing. Yeah. So I've done like a few guitars for artists, and like seeing them on stage after that, I'm like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, because you've done a lot of guitar stuff too.
Yeah, I did Ray Lynn's guitar. She still uses it. And then I did, like, she still uses it for all of her stuff. And then I did Kelsey Ballerini's for her Heart First tour.
Gotcha.
Which is like this blue guitar with some yellow butterflies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Rad. So do you like rhinestone those out, or you paint them, or?
Yeah, I paint them, and then sometimes they want rhinestones. Like, of course, Raylan's had a shit ton of rhinestones. She sent me like a mood board, and it was like cow print and like cowboy hats and fields, and she's like, all right, paint something, and I'm like, okay. It was literally just a Pinterest board of photos, and I was like, okay, here we go.
Does the guitar get heavier with rhinestones on it?
Probably.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be a little weighty.
Yeah, probably.
But it looks so cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, that was a fun one.
That's rad. I mean, that's so cool to like talk to you about all this, because it's like you've got your hands in so many different like things. And after like, being here for 7 years, it's like you've got all this like stuff all over your Instagram of so many different things, because it's like I was looking at your Instagram before, and I see it all the time, but I was looking at it this morning just to kind of refresh a little bit before we did this. And I was like, damn, she's done a lot. A lot.
Well, since I've known you, especially, like,
it's crazy.
I was working at Tidal Boxing Club, and you know, going on your sets for free just to be experienced or be like in the moments of all those times. Yeah. So
you went from your Canon that you had from college. Let's talk a little bit about your gear.
Okay.
You know, what you use.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I feel like gear's important. You know,
gear gives you confidence.
Yeah, it does for sure. And it gives the looks, you know. So tell me, what's your thing now? What
I feel like I'm gonna get like judged.
No,
like, okay, here's what I have. I'm all talk. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to use my Canon.
Right.
So I have a Canon R5. My favorite lens is the 50 1.2.
Right.
And then my other favorite lens specifically for concerts is 16-35.
Yeah.
The girls love it because it makes their legs look long.
Yeah.
We all know that.
Yep.
And then, of course, the staple 24-70 that everyone has in their kit.
Yeah.
And then I got the 7200 lens. I'm working to not... I want to sell all those and get like the R5 lenses because those seem like so lenses. Crisp. Yeah, the RF. Yeah. And then my backup is my Canon Mark IV. Yeah. And then for like on our off days where you just want to like bring a camera, I have the Fuji X100V.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and that's just kind of like more filmy, like on the go type of thing. Yeah.
So when you like direct these videos and stuff like that and you work with Dylan, do you ever do like a camera preference or do you just let the DP do it?
I usually let Dylan and I have a funny relationship because we've been working together for so long. So I'll like be like, hey, I'll call him up and be like, hey, I have this music video on Friday. I want you to do it. And I want it to be like orangey and moody. And he's like, all right. And then we won't talk till the day of set. And he just he just knows. But like other DPs are like, well, what camera? Do you want an RE or do you want an Alexa? And da-da-da. I'm like, I don't know, figure it out.
Yeah.
Like,
I've got him on this podcast too. And he's so technical, so great.
He's so technical.
Smart, scientific, you know, just like there's a science to
Have you talked to him already?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Did he tell you about the one time he dropped the camera on set?
Oh, God.
Oh, never mind. Oopsie.
Like, oh, God.
My job as a little sister is to call all these boys out for all the shit they've put me through.
Exactly.
Me and Dylan did it was just us two. And we did a music video. And I think we had an RE, but he had it on, he had two stilts like underneath it. So he dropped it in the middle of the shoot and it bounced up and he like caught it and nothing broke. And we didn't have any insurance. It was like just me and him, like, and we didn't have anything. And I think I peed myself. Like I was like, oh my. And we like had this moment and I was like, we're never going to talk about this again until I'm on Jeff Johnson's podcast 5 years from now. Right. Then I'm going to bring it up and call you out. Yeah. Like, wow. Literally, I was like, oh, I can't, yeah. And we looked at each other and I was just like, don't say anything. Just keep going. But yeah, no, Dylan, I love an Alexa camera. Yeah. Those are my favorites. But not really any preference. I just don't really like the reds. I know you have one.
I've got 4 of them.
I know.
Or 3 of them in here right now.
Oh.
Yeah. I've always been a Red fan since day one. I don't know why. It's just I just love how they look. Yeah. But I do love the Alexas too. Yeah, they're great.
They're just easy. I feel like
we shot the Megan Maroney video with the Alexa,
and
it just looks great because of skin tones and all that stuff, you know. Right. But going back to kind of like a little bit of the gear, kind of want to elaborate on that. Like whenever you're out on tour, and this is great for people that want to do this. Yeah. Like, what's your workflow? Like because I always say is that we have the fun and then at the end of the show then our job really starts because we have to put together the art, right? You know what I mean?
Our job's from like 7 a.m. to or 7 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Yeah. And then we start editing. What's your workflow? What do you use?
So I use Premiere for video, Lightroom for photos, and after every show I'm immediately in the dressing room or wherever my space is to edit, and I'm editing, like immediately export to a hard drive, immediately edit, send. I like to like send photos out within an hour. Yeah. To the artist, and I never give more, which I also feel like is important because I've talked to some people and they're like, how do you only choose 50 photos. And I'm like, you send 50 plus photos? Like, no one's going to look at 50 photos.
Right.
Like, this is another night for an artist. Like, they're not going to go through all these photos that you took. And Alex Ferrari is one who taught me this. He was like, just send your best 25.
Yeah.
And I remember I took my first show with Maren. I took 1,200 photos. And now I'm very careful. I don't shoot more than 700 in a night. Yeah.
Wow.
Because I know I'm just like, I want to whip them out after.
Yeah.
And not that I'm like waiting for the moment, but I definitely just don't rapid shoot and like hope that one of those in there. It's like, once you learn the show, it's like, you know when the moments are going to happen. You know when you need to push the button.
Do you feel like you'd shoot more if you were just hired to go in and do just one show that you've never seen before?
Yeah, because I think like that first Maren show, 1,200 photos. But then it, it took me so long, and Maren like wants to post that night, and it's like when you miss that 1 minute cutoff of like it's too late to post now, it's kind of defeating because you're like, oh, I just ran to the dressing room, and now you're not posting till tomorrow. Yeah. So I like to, which is normal for an artist to post the next day, but I'm very careful of how much I'm shooting in the night, just to make sure it's easier on me after. Yeah. And I only send over 25 to 45 photos, edited photos.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah. I'm sending probably 40 to 50 at night. Yeah. You know, it was funny. Katie Koss and I had a conversation about how her workflow, and it's wild to me because I've never done this and I never thought about it.
She's really technical too.
Yeah, she's very technical and super talented.
So talented.
But whenever she has shot a series of photos in a show, when she's walking to the next place to like get her next shot, she's going through the photos and she's starring everything that she thinks is great. So it's almost like she's selecting the photos like
right
before
then and there.
So then when she drops it in the Lightroom, all the ones that she had saw on her camera, it's like she's already like editing those. I
would feel like I might miss something though.
I know, same. I feel like that too. You know? But I thought about it, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool though. Yeah. You know, maybe that is something that maybe I'll try.
It's like the work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm like, how do I start photo?
Right. I know, right?
I'm like, you could do that? Right. Yeah. No, I feel like I'm just like, I want to keep my reputation as just quick, because Lumineers are like, you're the fastest we've ever had. Yeah. I'm like, good. Well,
and you have to be in this day and age. Yeah. Social media, it's like if it's not there in 2 days, it's old news.
Right. Right.
You know, it's like and especially being on a tour with an artist like that, it's like you have to keep posting. You know, because you got to look at it like, you know, maybe a fan looks at it and goes, damn, I want to go see that show tonight. That was from last night. I want to go see that tonight.
So true.
And it could have been from just the photo that they saw on Instagram.
Every time someone asks me like, oh, what's your purpose on tour? Like, why do you go on tour? Like, what's your job? And I'm like, to create hype. Yeah. Or to create FOMO. Yeah. And that's like our job. It's like, true. Yeah. My job is to make you want to be here.
Yeah. It's very true. Yeah. That's good. That's a good call. Yeah. I've never really thought about it like that.
Yeah. We create the FOMO. I know. Then I suffer from having the FOMO. Yeah.
So so this is one question that I've been asking everybody on this podcast, but if you were to go out on the road and you're on tour for just a weekend and you had one camera and one lens for the entire weekend, what would you take?
Canon R5 and the 1635.
Gotcha.
What did everyone else say? Was that the right answer?
I want to hear why first.
I feel like my style of photos is like that wide underneath, like kind of fisheye look, right. Like that action shot. Mm-hmm. I like the action shot and like the movement and the wide kind of like twerked like look. Better than just that crisp portrait vibe. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. And that's cool. I mean, that's good to know because everybody's different.
What did everyone else say? Did Katie say portrait?
What did Katie say? She said the R5, like, right?
Yeah, she said like a 35 or 24 prime.
No. Wasn't she the 50?
Oh, she was the 50.
Yeah, she did R5 50 1.2.
That would be my second choice. Yeah. I never not have that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Mine would be the Canon R5 with the 28 to 70.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because I feel like video, it's like you can still get like really cool depth at 70. Yeah. You know?
What did John Shear say?
Leica Q3.
Of course.
I know.
Okay, John, we know the Leica. One day I'll have one.
I know, it's really funny because I've got a Leica Q2.
Yeah.
And every time I use it, I'm like, I need to be using this more often because I don't use it as often.
Yes. My Fuji X100V is like the wannabe to the Leica.
Yeah. Well,
Whatever.
John had a great point about the Leica too.
What was his point?
He said that it's very discreet.
Mm-hmm.
It's not loud. There's not like, big flashes. It catches more of a moment. And which was really cool of him to say was like, if you're in a dressing room and like somebody's having a moment, you don't want to have this flash going off and then them thinking like, oh, we got to turn and take a photo.
Yeah, it's like more candid.
It's more candid, it's more discreet.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool because you see that on his Instagram. It's like you see these moments that these artists are having together. And it's just more organic moments, and it's not posed.
Yeah,
that's what I love about his work.
Yeah. I remember like the Lainey and her manager shot of just hugging.
We were talking about that.
Yeah, that was a good one. I remember seeing it, and I was like, damn, he's good.
No. See, that's iconic.
Yeah,
that's the iconic stuff. And him talking about how the Britney Spears and Madonna shot from the MTV Awards back in the day. I mean, he took that photo. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, that's insane.
I mean, that's iconic,
Yeah.
But so because we've got some of the ladies on the show, my insanely incredible wife wanted to give everybody a little gift.
Oh, of course. She's so great. What is it?
From Skinology.
Oh.
And that's her business, and she's an esthetician, as you know. And you've done stuff with her. She's reached out. You did a what is the board?
Oh, the cornhole.
The cornhole.
I've literally painted your like whole house. Yeah. I feel like she's always she's like, hey, it's me. I'm like, anything you want. Yeah, it's just let me know.
She did a cornhole thing for Native 31 Films.
Yeah.
And then she did the shoes, obviously. So so you and CJ have like reached out to each other, but she wanted to give back. And
what is it?
A gift card. And you don't have to open it right now.
Okay.
But you could go in and get whatever kind of service to what that dollar amount is in there. So
that is really kind of her. Wow. My girl. I love her. That's awesome.
So she wanted to give that to all the females that are on the podcast.
Okay. So, Skinology. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you
That's
got
so
it.
Sweet.
Of course. So any advice to the up and comers,
Yeah,
it's funny
I
because
have some advice.
I can't wait to hear this because like I felt like I gave you a lot of advice.
I know, I'm like my advice is just your words. So actually I just heard this thing this week which has really resonated with me is I feel like when we're younger and we're navigating this whole industry, and I did this too, I was reaching out to the senior art director or you or like all these people who have been here for a while and have done it. And now I look at Dylan, Daniel, Tyler, all these kids or people my age and how we've grown so much together. And it's I heard someone say it's not always the best to network up. It's almost even better to network sideways. And I thought that was cool because you're like,
that is cool.
You want to network around your peers. Like Dylan and I, like he will always want to work with me because we've always worked together. I may not be doing commercials yet, but when I do, I'm calling Dylan.
Yeah.
And that's because we've helped each other out.
Yeah.
And we've grown up in this together.
Yeah. It's definitely, I feel like it's a collaborative effort.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like you're as good as the people that you have around you too.
Yeah, exactly.
And they help propel you. It's like me directing. It's like I wouldn't be a director without these people around me that like really support my idea, and propel that. That's such a huge thing.
Yeah. I feel like I mean like it was Evan who brought me to you too, and so I feel like paying attention to your friends and people around you who are, maybe trying to do the same thing as you. It's it's not, I feel like that's good advice to just be aware and like be genuine to them and work hard with them and, you know, do this together. I feel like can help propel each person. And always say yes to everything. I'll always say that. Then there's a time where you're like, okay, you know, work on saying no. It's okay. Because sometimes the power of no is just, if not better than saying yes. I'm learning it still. But when you're first starting out, like, don't not take that storage container job because it's storage. Like, why? What am I shooting? A storage container? Like, what? But like, you never know.
It's practice too.
It's practice. Yeah. Like, never not be good enough for that job, and like lower your ego. Be nice, genuine. Don't ask for favors. Like, don't rely on anyone but yourself, and people will see that, and then they'll start throwing you work. If I like see that you've proven yourself and you're here for the right reasons and you're down to do the dirty work before getting the actual job that you want, like, I'll throw you stuff. Like, you really just got to prove yourself. And I do think it is like a lot about lowering your ego, because
100%.
People get, you know, to these positions and it's like, I'm too good for that job, or I'm good. Like, I don't know. Like, I never want to feel like I'm better than the job or better than, you know, my peers or anything like that. So I feel like it's always just like, there's always something to learn. We'll never not be not learning. So, just always be like willing to learn, really. And don't be afraid to ask for help is one that you've always taught me. All the phone calls I send you. I'm like, hey, it's me again. Can I call you? You're like, what do you want now? Just charge your rate. And I'm like, well, I don't know how much to charge. Another one I want to say is like to not be afraid of the music industry. I feel like I've let a lot of things slide because I was afraid, well, if I argue or if I stick up for myself, maybe no one will want to work with me again, or I might lose this artist. But like, I think it's easy to slip through that as a young photographer. Managers and labels, like, there's a fine line. And I feel really passionate about sticking up for yourself, sticking up for your work. And like, if that artist doesn't want to work for you because you want to own your photos, or you feel that you deserve X amount of money for a job that you did, if they don't want to work with you again, why would you want to work with them too? I just feel like I did a lot of that, and I look back now and I'm like, that was wrong for them, and I should have stood up for myself, but I was scared. And I don't want to be scared anymore. And if you don't want to hire me because of that, whatever. Like,
there's another job out there.
There's another artist. There's been a lot of women that I've been talking to recently who didn't sue because their photo, they never signed a photo contract, and it ended up on merch, and they didn't do anything because they got scared. And I was like, that's wrong. You know, don't let anyone take advantage of you like that. And I mean, there's obviously right and wrong ways to go about that, but I am passionate about just sticking up for yourself and owning your work, and like owning who you are in your work, and stuff like that. So
it's amazing.
Just being strong like that.
I'm so damn proud of you.
Thank you.
Seriously. Like, I could get a little emotional about it because, like I said, it's like you're kind of like a little sister to me, and just like such a great friend, and just like I love you to death, you know, and I'm just so damn proud of you. Seriously.
Thank you.
You're the bomb.
Thank you.
Seriously, keep doing it.
I'm thankful for you. I mean,
keep crushing this.
I won't stop touring. I promise.
This is only the beginning for you. This is only the beginning.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It means a lot to me.
I won't drink so much coffee next time. Sorry.
We'll get you on the second season. We'll talk more.
Okay. Cool. You'll be like, did you end up? What did we manifest today? What was I manifesting today that I was like, the Carrie jacket's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
In the Hall of Fame,
When that happens, I'll come back on the podcast. So keep me updated with that.
There you go. RACHEL Deeb on the show today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was fun. That's a wrap.